I'm going to talk about three things. I'm going to talk about primary and secondary and underpinning values, if that's okay. And this is just personal opinion and rant rather than anything theoretical. First of all, primary. It seems to me that what primary curriculum should be doing is teaching stuff. I do subscribe to some of the stuff Hirsch says. It does seem to me that teachers know stuff, and it's not unreasonable for us to pass that stuff on. The trouble is if that's all that we're supposed to do. I subscribe to the idea that I am better at learning things because I've already learnt things, and therefore I must have a foundation in some of the things worth learning. But on the other hand, there must be other stuff beyond that. And what we ought to be doing, I think, at primary is to teach young people the basics, and we ought to be stronger about the basics. We ought to be more intolerant about children who aren't reading properly and writing properly, but we must also give a really strong sense of building character, which I think is important, and you do that by the stuff which is around the classroom as well as within the classroom. I like the idea that every child should learn to play an instrument and should be part of a team or an orchestra or something like that, doing all of those things. So if we haven't got that richness of development in primary, it seems to me we're totally getting it wrong. And things like the proposed Year 6 grammar test, which are going to ask children questions like this: take these words and put them into a sentence. Is pen in goat my To which this child in Year 6 responded, my pen is in a goat, has got 100% grammatically correct in a test which is not teaching a child how to write. So understand, I'm not saying we should have something mechanistic, but we must have that balance of the basics, the character building and the enrichment. Therefore, when you get to secondary, it ought to be about consolidation, I would suggest, for Year 7 and 8, but then it ought to be about building independence and resilience and all the other things that we've heard about today, in order that young people, I would say, begin to specialise. And I subscribe to the idea that from 15 and 16, if a child wants to do a bricklaying course or a hairdressing course or an apprenticeship, we shouldn't be sneering at that. We shouldn't be taking the Govian view that because they're not then going to become bricklayers or hairdressers, it's a waste of time. Quite the reverse. It might be that they're getting involved in something and learning something that they've never done before and giving them a sense of self-esteem that they've never had before, and it shouldn't be denigrated in the way that it is at the moment. And my final point would be that underpinning everything, primary and secondary, ought to be two things. One, a sense of universality. That is, whatever your background, whatever the interest of your head teacher, certain things should be there for every child. So every child should do some creative stuff. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be up to the personal choice of the head teacher and the governors. Universality is important, and a national curriculum for everyone, whatever kind of school. And the second part of that, for me, is distinctiveness. That you should be able to do stuff which is important in your area. I'm from Suffolk, and the trouble in Suffolk is it's inward looking, it's white, and we suffocate. And one of the things we have to do in Suffolk is we have to make children see there is a big world out there. Multiculturalism, I think, is more important in our classrooms than it is in, say, inner city London. We should choose how we do that and why we do that, but distinctiveness running hand in hand with a kind of universality would be important for me.
Yeah.